Hello and welcome to round one of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter OctoberFAST season presented by RaceFirst. So this series runs fixed setup BMW Z4 GT3s. The Z4 competed in such series as the American Le Mans Series and the European Le Mans Series, as well as the United Sports Car Championship before it was phased out and replaced by the M6 GTLM or GTE. So tonight we're going to be racing at Spa-Francorchamps for the opening round of the series. So this is an October-only series, short season, 5 races. It'll take the drivers to various marquee European circuits. And so next Thursday we'll be heading to Zandvoort, and then October 15th we'll be in Barcelona, October 22nd Brands Hatch, and finally the championship finale at the Nürburgring Grand Prix. Not the Nordschleife, but the Nürburgring Grand Prix that is built right next to the Nordschleife. So we're heading to a 20-minute qualifying session. We've got a bigger show than we had in preseason last night. Talking about car count, actually. And we'll see how everybody can do. We've got Rafael Torres was our championship, our winner last week, and he looks to be strong here coming up as we head into this first round. From what I've understand, he's been strong in the other races, and let's see if we can get him on the screen here and make sure that we've got everybody else out here with their correct liveries tonight. We'll double check that. Yakov Bilik looks like he does have his correct livery tonight as we look at that orange crafting for a Cure car, Team Gasburn. We had him with a little bit different livery last week, and there was an update to the Trading Paints program, and it looks like we've got that correct one this week. I hope everybody can hear me out there tonight. These cars are a little bit louder than some of my other series that I've covered, so I'm trying to equalize the sound and everything like that to make sure that the cars are not too loud to drown out my voice. We have a few different viewers out there. As we watch Yakov. So these laps are about 2.5 minutes, and you know that's a long lap time. We're going to be running a 30-minute race. So everybody's on their outlap at this point. I see Julian Altena in our chat here so far. One of our first comments that we've actually received during one of these broadcasts. So he says that the volume is a little bit low. So we'll see what we can do about that. We'll switch over to some of our other drivers that are out here. So Robert Benson is out here. We've got a new driver, wasn't here last week, Joseph Getridis. If I'm saying that correctly, who knows? We'll get him to confirm whether he's, as we have our first drivers, although I don't believe those might be coming out of the pits laps, because those look a little bit faster than I thought they would be, but I might be wrong. Yeah, I think that those are incorrect. Let me remove those from the screen for the moment while we get everybody to put in a good lap here. These cars are coming up on Steve Flanagan here. He's got a freight train of cars behind him. They might be getting a good draft off of him as they come onto the straight here. That is Dave Fitzgerald getting that slipstream right there as he looks to the inside of Steve Flanagan. Now at this point, he will not be happy with Steve up there, but at this point, looks like he'll be... Oh, I thought he might be able to get around. So really some racing here. We wouldn't normally see this in qualifying, but... and here we go. So we have our... Rafael Torres has put in one of the first qualifying laps. It appears we've got some different laps coming down. As we see Brian Kennedy taking that first place position. So Dave Fitzgerald gets around Steve Flanagan there. So Kennedy currently in the provisional pole position ahead of Torres. Lanik is put down a 2-minute 21 lap. Stokes and also a 2:21, or sorry, 2:25. Bradford at a 2-minute 26-second lap. As these laps are coming in fast and furious at this point. So let's have a look back. So this was Joseph here. Also had, oh, we've got some contact between Flanagan and Tenney here. That's going to be a long, this was right as they were coming onto the straightaway here, right out of the chicane, and that's going to be a long lap back to get, you know, up to speed. As we see Robert Benson. So it looks like, how many cars do we have out here at this point? Looks like we've got 15 cars, so a little bit, a few more cars. We have 15 cars, so a few more than we had last week during the preseason round. So this is round 1 of the 5-round championship for October here. John Wood was on also another newcomer that wasn't here last week, off the top of my head anyway. I don't recall him being here. Another cool Z4 livery here. Let's check back with Kennedy here, our provisional pole sitter. We'll see how long he can last here, though, in that Delta Technologies BMW. So this series is made up, it's the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter, and all of these drivers are part of this car club. And they get together, run various iRacing events, and we're lucky enough to be broadcasting this particular event for them here at Raceverse. And really good to have some sports cars on the channel here. Oh, it looks like Kennedy cooked it a little bit hot, but so did Torres there, just completely blowing both of their laps here as I see... let's see who we can figure out who that is behind them. I had no idea who that was. It wasn't Joseph. Okay, it was Peter Lanik. Okay, driving that BMW livery on his BMW Performance Parts. As they drip both Rouge on the Radeon onto the Kemmel Straight. So Peter Lanik's going to get a really good slipstream off of Rafael Torres here. Atlantic currently has that 2-minute 21 lap. We're going to be looking to get into the 2 minutes 20-second lap. See if anybody can get into the 2-minute 19 lap. It's going to be tough. We've got the first two cars here. They might look similar, but I don't believe that they're teammates here. Rafael explained last week that he is on RJT Racing, his professional company, where he does some racing school training. As Brian Kennedy went wide there, coming off of, I think that was in Puan. Although we might be further into that whole campus and Stavelot area. So the race course here, I'll bring up this information real quick. I didn't go through any of this. So Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is 4.35, 7 kilometers. It's a 19-corner circuit, as you can see right there. And a lot of these different names, you won't be able to read them on the display there, but a lot of famous names. Formula One runs here, obviously European Le Mans Series runs, World Endurance Cars runs here, so probably of the... I mean, the Nordschleife is certainly very famous, but nothing major really runs there because it's just way too dangerous, as I think I heard a car hitting the pit lane wall. But certainly this is like up there with Monaco and Le Mans and maybe Silverstone. I'd probably put this at the top, honestly, because it's the Formula One runs here, as well as the top-level sports cars. It would be great to have the Indy cars here one day, but I think that's a pipe dream. We certainly run them in leagues as much as we can. We have Kennedy in the pit lane. See if we can get some views of other cars as Rafael Torres on the Kemmel Straight here. No help from him this time. Jakov Bielik, currently... I'm not seeing his information correct on the screen, so I'm seeing him in 4th, but on your screen, for your leaderboard, he's in 5th. Stokes here in this navy blue car, currently in 9th. Brian Hare, he was here last week, I believe, yeah, and is currently running in 8th position. Get a little bit of camera time on him. So Dave Fitzgerald, he was strong last week, but I'm seeing... Okay, he's up to 4th, but I'm not sure if that is accurate information or not. There's been some discrepancies between the leaderboard and what my view is. Obviously, at the end of this session, we'll confirm everything on the grid. So Colin Kordenek was strong last week, and the Deutsche Post car. I think he was on the podium here, and but he's currently in 7th, so he's going to be wanting to improve upon that time at the moment. Try some different camera angles here. So we got an in-car view of Kordenek as he navigates through. I think he's coming out of campus and then he's on through turn 15. Heading towards Blanchimont. It's going to be into the straightaway. Well, it'll have a curve to the left here, but that'll be pretty much taken flat out with some sliding tires onto the curbs, and they're hard braking into the chicane here. We saw Rafael Torres, and I think it was Brian Kennedy, as I see Torres just squeaked out the fastest lap here. goes to the top of the board. We have 4.5 minutes left in qualifying. As Ordenek navigates through La Source. Looks like he has, is that Robert Benson there? Yes, that was Robert Benson ahead of him. As they're going to head through Eau Rouge and Radion on to the Camel Straight. Looks like they'll get around him. Ordenek needs to get that good lap down here. As we go on board with Brian Hare. Just looking off his front left camera here. I don't think this is a I don't think this is a camera angle that you'd be able to use in real life, but certainly in the simulators we get to use this one. As I see, Steve Flanagan has put all drivers have put down a lap at this point. As Brian Hare navigates through Blanchimont, heading towards that chicane. I love these static cameras because then they don't move. That you can see the speed of these cars is just tremendous coming into the chicane. So Joseph here stepped up to the 6th position, so good showing for him, not here last week. I know the series admins wanted everybody to be here, so it looks like we've got a good car count and everybody's practiced this week. Looks like we're gonna have a really competitive race here up here in the front. They ran a test race yesterday as well. As I see, Kennedy is still in the pit lane. So it looks like he's about done. Everybody else is on the track. So Fitzgerald's moved up to 4th. We'll go on board with him. His Gulf livery. Kind of something you'd see more on a Aston Martin, I believe, with his livery here, rather than a BMW. Although I could very well be wrong. There's a long history of sports cars, and that's one of the classic sponsors, so possibly they've been seen on other manufacturers as well. So Scott Kim, I think in the chat with the drivers earlier, he might have been kind of new to the Spa. You know, he might have been just learning the track. He's the admin here in the series. He was strong at Okinawa. Incorrect. I have to catch myself on that. Okoyama. So as we look over at Kordenek as well, let's go on with his right front suspension. A little bit different angle here. There's an M4 sticker on his Z4 here. As he navigates through, it's going to be heading on to Blanchimont. And we're coming to the end of qualifying here. All laps will count, so we'll get another 3.5 minutes before qualifying will end. I see Kordenek goes wide there. I'm not sure if that would be an incident point there. And Bradford over in the pits. I was going to try to check if anybody else. It looks like Several drivers have hit the pit lane. Steve Flanagan still out there on the track. I remember him last week. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage on his front end, although last week he certainly had more during that qualifying session. Would have been slowing him down in the straightaways, but not as much this week. As Flanagan continues on here. See, what is Steve? Steve's Tenny still circulating around as well out here. Really cool livery. I think it said Ice Watch on it. Looks like Bielik is also out here, finishing off his lap. We're going to have a minute and a half. So we'll see if we can do a run through of the grid. We're going to be doing a standing start here. We're going to be running for 30 minutes. And I know last week we were a little bit rushed with that grid, and you know, the lights were on, came on in the middle, right at the end of the grid. So let's see if we can fix that for this week. So our starting grid here for today's race. Spa-Francorchamps. Rafael Torres in P1, the 777 car, 2 minute 20 seconds lap. Brian Kennedy in P2. Peter Lanik in P3, Dave Fitzgerald in P4. Thanks out to Dave out there for being the one to contact us here in the league initially. Set this thing up to broadcast for you guys. Yakov Bielik in P5, Joseph Getridis, we'll have to get a confirmation on that particular name, from Club Virginia in that number 89 car. Moving on to P7, Colin Kordenek. He was strong last week in the race. We'll see if he can move up here. Brian Hare in 8th position. Robert Stokes in the 9th position. And that 77 car. I like that number, 77. And then we got Scott Kim in the number 5. Tim Bradford in P11. John Wood in P12. Moving on to the end of the grid here, we've got Stephen Tenney, P13, number 10 car. Robert Benson, P14, and then number 1 car, and Steve Flanagan in P15. So it looks like cars are going to be starting to grid up here. We'll have some incorrect information there. Let's toggle that off. As we'll have Robert Benson and Rafael Torres starting side by side on the front grid. They're going to be rushing down to La Source. To get everybody on the grid. So the estimate is that this is going to be a 13-lap race, almost 2.5 minutes, as we have green flag. It looks like Brian Kennedy with a little bit better run, but he's going to have Rafael Torres on the inside as they head down the down the straightaway into Eau Rouge. Side by side they go as Brian Kennedy takes the lead. Now Rafael Torres, Steve Flanagan back here in P3. Good start for him. We'll get a slipstream down the straightaway here. We've got a major slipstream. We've got Peter Lanik in 4th. We have Yakov Bielik in P5. And I couldn't quite tell who was back there in P6. So no slipstreaming there between the leaders. We had one car hit the inside wall. I'm not sure who that was. I think it was Robert Stokes, though. As Rafael Torres looks to the inside as they come into Brussels. And he takes the lead over Brian Kennedy. So our pole sitter retakes the lead. Looking back, Dave Fitzgerald in P3. Peter Lanik moving up to P4. We'll get our ticker set up here. As we are safely through so far. We'll go on board here with Brian Hare. So these tires, these brakes, were coming up to temperature. They're coming up real quick as they came into the Lake Holme section of the track after that Kemmel Straight. As Brian Hare here sees Colin Kordenek ahead of him in that Deutsche Post car, so Kordenek's working on Jakob Bielik. We'll head up to the front here and look at Dave Fitzgerald's on board here. We have the onboard from everybody out here, as Fitzgerald is in the actually third position as we cross the line. As they head into La Source. This is going to be a slipstreaming affair as Brian Kennedy goes a little bit wide and now comes under pressure from Dave Fitzgerald. And all in the meantime, while those guys work on each other, Peter Lanik is back there in the fourth position, looking for both of them to make some kind of a mistake here as they head down through Eau Rouge onto the Kemmel Straight. It's going to get a good slipstream here. As I see Bielik is under pressure from Colin Kordenek. Back there in the yellow and orange car is orange is a Bielik. As Rafael Torres is starting to build a slight gap there. You can start to see we've got Stokes is out of the race. Unfortunate for him, I think he was that car that hit the inside pit wall early on in the race. And I see Scott Kim might have been involved in some of that as well, because he started, let's have a look at him. He started in the 10th position, he's back to 14th, so Robert Stokes was in 9th, but okay, Stokes is back on the track. That car is not looking very healthy, so he was that one that hit that inside wall. As Dave Fitzgerald really working on Brian Kennedy here. So Kennedy really coming under some pressure here as we go on board. Looking back and looking forward. As they're going to head on into Blanchimont. We'll see if Fitzgerald here can set up a pass. Just have to get off that slipstream. That might have been straight, that corner back there when you were on your own, but looks like Fitzgerald lost a little bit as he gets really close to the bumper of Kennedy and the chicane. And now on to La Source. Going to be hard braking on the La Source, so Kennedy made that mistake and went a little bit wide last lap. Let's see if that happens this lap. No, it looks like he had his a little bit better on the braking this lap. Still coming under pressure from Peter Lanik back here, though. So looking way back in 11th position, we've got a gaggle of cars heading out of the chicane and into all heading towards La Source. We'll look on and right on board with John Wood here as he's going to navigate through Eau Rouge up there. Let's see if anybody can get that slipstream. It hasn't really seemed to have much of an effect as we see really different lines going through Eau Rouge there. I'm not sure which one was the correct one. John Wood looks like he's going to have a good run, but Okay, Robert Benson, or was it Tim Bradford, corrects himself there. I think that's Benson ahead of them. Yes, he's in the 10th position. Still keeping an eye on Fitzgerald and Lanik and working on Kennedy as Torres has built a 2-second gap over Kennedy and P2. Flanagan's slightly losing that gaggle of cars ahead of him, but this battle for 10th position between 10th, 11th, and 12th, so that's Benson, Bradford, and Wood. We'll go back up to the lead, so I do see that lead came down slightly, so there might have been a mistake back there for Torres, because it was up to 2 seconds, and I'm showing it as, it's still showing as 2 seconds on the leaderboard here, but I'm seeing it on my own data that it's 1.5 seconds. As I think that, okay, so Kennedy is still under pressure. Fitzgerald's really not losing any ground to Kennedy, as, okay, for a moment there I thought that Kennedy was a little bit loose there in La Source. Best battle on the track right here, as Flanagan goes, or Fitzgerald, pardon me, goes really wide in Eau Rouge. Not sure if that was, certainly wasn't a slowdown if he didn't slow down there. If there is a slowdown penalty in iRacing, you get a 38 seconds to kind of give that time back. As Kennedy goes a little bit wide into Brussels. Not sure if Flanagan, he's just really pressuring, and I have to wonder if Kennedy's rear tires might just be a little bit more heated as he struggles to kind of come to grips with all of this. Let's switch over to intervals here and see what we can look at. You can see a couple tenths between Kennedy and you can just see that, not a car between them. That Gulf livery of Fitzgerald wants to get out of the number 91. You can see somebody's gone wide in Stavelot, I think it was, back there. It's Kennedy actually builds a little bit of a gap over Fitzgerald. It looks like Fitzgerald made a mistake and is now under pressure from Peter Lanik of BMW Performance Parts. Peter Lanik goes really wide, but can't seem to. He might have gotten his Fitzgerald now went a little bit wide in the chicane there. Whoa. Really good battle here now between Lanik is bringing himself into this battle a little bit more than he was in the previous laps. We've done 5 laps. We're estimating, I don't know if this is correct or not. So iRacing gives me kind of an estimate of based on the current laps. We're only going to be doing 13 laps. We've already done 5, as I saw Kennedy really go wide in Eau Rouge there. The slipstream hasn't shown to be much effect so far. I mean, I'm sure they're going faster, but if they're kind of a freight train of cars, as Peter Lanik looks inside of Fitzgerald there, it comes, the contact there looks like it was a hair between them there. So let's look back. We had that battle before, basically 10th position is heating up. So Tim Bradford in 12th position working on John Wood here. Or actually, Flanagan has gotten around them. Somebody had made a mistake, and now, okay, Flanagan's giving some of his right door there to Benson, it appeared. Some contact back here in the field. Flanagan doesn't Doesn't really care, it seems like. Well, they say rubbing is racing, and I think Flanagan certainly lives by that mantra. As we see, is that, let's see, who is that? Tim Bradford looking on Benson. Let's see here, let's double check these. Yeah, so Benson is in P10. Okay, so Flanagan's in 10th, so I'm seeing Benson's back to 11th, so Flanagan got by both of these cars as they head through this combination of corners through Campus and then onto Stavelite. Back up front, is that, looks like Torres has made a mistake because Kennedy and Fitzgerald have caught up to him. I'd check back replays, but there's no time to check back replays with all this that's going on here, the tight battles that we have going on so far through this race. As Torres looked, kind of was guarding his line down the Kemmel Straight here. That RJT racing machine of his. So Kennedy here, you know, on that Kemmel Straight, he's back into the slipstream. Only about a half a second back. You know, within a second, you're going to get some slipstream. He was about 2.5 seconds earlier, so going to be kind of out of that slipstream. So let's look at best laps so far. Let's look at last laps of the race. So you can see Torres did a 2:22, but Kennedy and Fitzgerald were in, faster than both of those. Lanik back there, kind of comparative laps. Lanik and Kordanek, kind of comparative laps. To Kennedy, or sorry, to Torres, the leader. We've got another battle here developing between Brian Hare has caught up to Bielik here. Let's go on board with him. See Bielik right ahead there. I think his sponsor was Crafting for the Cure. Not sure if that's, he'll have to explain that sometime, what that happens to be, because it could be, say, like craft beer for the cure, but it could be crafting in some other game or something like that. I have no clue, so we'll get a confirmation on what that might be at some point in the further races that we're going to cover here. We'll be talking to the podium here at some point. Obviously at the end of the race, but in further races we're going to be talking to various drivers. So Torres has built his lead back up past 1 second now. Fitzgerald's, I mean, he's still right there, but he's lost maybe a 10th on Kennedy last lap. That's still the best battle that we have on the track, is this battle between Fitzgerald. Let's do it through the field as we're about halfway through this race so far. We're 7 laps. This is the 7th lap. So let's start from the front here. 777 car of Rafael J. Torres, RJT Racing. In P2 we have Brian Kennedy coming under attack from Dave Fitzgerald in P3. Peter Lanik is here. He's lost a little bit of contact with the 3rd position in P4. Colin Kordanek in that Deutsche Post yellow car there is in P5. Yakov Bielik back here in P6. We've got his correct livery this week, we can kindly say. Team Gasburn. And we can see it was crafting for the brew again. I mentioned that earlier. It's coming under pressure from Brian Hare. Good run by him today. We've got Joseph Gatrides here back in P8. He's kind of running around here on his own. He's about 7 seconds behind Brian Hare, and he's got a big gap back to Stephen Tenney, who's in the P9 position, also kind of running around on his own here, just waiting for one of those drivers up ahead to maybe make a mistake or something like that. Then we got Steve Flanagan. Good battle between him and Benson here. Actually, Benson just got by, and he's coming under pressure from... So that was Benson up here. He's coming under pressure. It looks like Bradford just got by. And now Flanagan's going to be coming back. So that was 10th, 11th, and 12th right there. As Flanagan looks inside, Bradford kind of chops him a little bit, but that was all fair there. He was ahead, and Flanagan let him have it. John Wood back here in P13, and Scott Kim circulating back here. His last lap was 2 minute 46, so not what he'd be looking for. And we've got Stokes circulating around back here on P15 as well. He made that mistake early on in the race, so that is your through the field, as we're now 13 minutes from the end. And Fitzgerald up here, as they're on the Kemmel Straight. Fitzgerald's looking some way, somehow, to get around. He shows Brian Kennedy in his right side mirror that he's there as they head through Lake Home. And they're going to head towards the hairpin at Brussels. Downshift a couple times, so you can see that BMW wheel. You can almost buy that wheel. Fanatec has a wheel that you can buy that's almost exactly like that for their Club Sport line of products. Not that I'm selling any of that. I don't get any kickback from Fanatec. That's just a really good wheel. Fanatic, I think. Am I saying Fanatec? Fanatic. Fitzgerald's just right on Kennedy. We'll see if he can get around him. So we also have this really good battle between Flanagan and I think is that Bradford or Benson? So Bradford's got around Benson here. You can see as they're going to head through Pouan here. Bradford kicks up the dust there on the inside line. I see Robert Sadler's out there also, and you might have wrote that a lot earlier, but just checking back with the chat at the moment. I know, so Julian Altena and Robert Sadler, teammates from the Velocity Island Racing League, so they're out there tonight watching the race. As I see that Bradford looks like he's checking out a little bit. Let's head back up to the front and see this situation between Kennedy and Fitzgerald back here. This battle still brewing. Let's go back to intervals. I think that Fitzgerald's starting to lay some bumper on Brian Kennedy there. You might be careful doing that, because if he does it a little bit too much, he's going to damage his nose, and he's going to not have that top end as we look like we're going to be going 5 laps to go as they head through Pouan. The leader is still less than 2 seconds ahead as Fitzgerald dives low, and he's going to go around him. Kennedy kind of overcooks it in the corner, and Fitzgerald retakes, or Fitzgerald not retakes, but takes over his second position. As I thought I saw Lanik go a little bit wide back there, but it looks like he's all good. So Fitzgerald will now come under pressure from Kennedy, so this battle is brewing. They're going to head towards Nürburgring and on to the into the chicane up here. Kennedy's going to look inside in the chicane. We'll see if Fitzgerald can maybe, now that he's ahead, if he can get into this lead a little bit. But let's go on board with Kennedy here as he looks inside. Let's see who has a better exit out of this source. As they head through Rouge, we'll see. You can really hear these tires. You know, they're 10 laps old at this point, and there's a 2.5 minute lap. Kennedy's looks like he's got a really good run on Fitzgerald here. He's gonna look inside as they head into Lacombe, and Kennedy does kind of the wiser thing and doesn't throw it in there. Kind of a sportsman there. We're about 2 seconds ahead of Lanek back there, and Kortenek's another few seconds back from Lanek. We've got Flanagan is flashing that he was pitting back there. I don't know if that's accurate information or not, or just bugging out overlay. Could be just bugging out. We'll head up to our blimp up here in the Raceverse blimp. Kennedy's kind of losing touch with Fitzgerald there. Although, it looks like Fitzgerald's building, like, eating into that gap up there with Torres, but it might be, we've got about 10 minutes, or a little bit less than 10 minutes left in this race, because we've got 7.5 minutes left in the actual race, but then, because the last lap will be 2.5 minutes. It'll go as long as the last lap takes us. Kind of like, let's go back down low so we can hear some of these engine noises here. That lead by Torres is just going away ever so slightly now that Fitzgerald's in the second position. The RJT racing car. As that lead comes down even more as Fitzgerald comes out of La Source. It's about 1.5 seconds back. It was 2 seconds just a minute or so ago, so he's coming on strong. And he's going to have that slipstream that will help him. If he can get about 1 second into this lead that RJT has here, as it drops back just a little bit here. As we head back to Brian Kennedy here, so I'm looking to see if there's any of this is the best best race that we have. The rest of the cars have kind of spread out at this point. That battle between Fitzgerald and Kennedy. Let's see, Bradford was flashing as in the pits again, but I don't know if that's accurate information. So that lead back down to, it's actually down to a 1.3 second lead, so Torres might have just had a bad corner. Not something really you could see on the cameras here, but he's certainly getting through Eau Rouge onto the Kemmel Straight a little bit better than some of the other cars that are out here, though, as Kennedy has now dropped back about 1 second from Fitzgerald, so Fitzgerald's kind of checking out on his own, and let's look at best laps here, see if we can... So best lap is going to go to Torres. He's out there in that clean air, But Fitzgerald's there in second place with that, you know, he's going to have some slipstream at times, but in the twistier part of the track, he's going to lose some of that downforce, so that the time he gains on the slipstream, he's going to lose in the twisty stuff. So it looks like we're estimating about 2 laps to go here. Torres has led this whole thing as he heads onto the Kemmel Straight. That gap, it's kind of stayed there at about 1.5 seconds between Fitzgerald and Torres. Torres is a professional, so he knows what to do. As they head through Lacombe onto the Brussels hairpin. Kennedy back here just losing sight of Fitzgerald ever so slightly. Lanik back here just kind of had most of his race on his own after the start there, and he's been, you know, his best lap is 1:21, which him and Kordenek are both doing 1:21s. Kordenek in the Deutsche Post yellow car there. Bielik is back here in the P6. Harris just about 1 second back from him, but then beyond there, that's about 9 seconds back to Joseph here. Another 10 seconds back to Stephen Tenney. There's actually, it's about 40 seconds back to him. And Bradford, and going on to Benson, Wood, Kim, and Stokes. I do see Flanagan has pulled it into the pits, it looks like. So he's called it a night. On board, as you can see, it's just ever so slightly. Fitzgerald's caught up to Torres here. He's just got a little bit of rear wheel spin there as he comes out of the chicane on to Lacombe. Sorry, did I say Lacombe? I meant La Source. But he might have his slipstream as they go through Eau Rouge. And onto the Kemmel Straight. You can see RJT up there taking a lot of curb. That's the way to do it, though. We are on this. This lap will be our final lap. That was white flag back there. Well, we'll see if Fitzgerald can do anything with that. He's really close. It's the closest he's been all day, but I think he's just going to run out of laps here. As Kennedy's dropped back several seconds behind. He might have made a mistake back there, but he still has it pointed straight. Lanik's also dropped back quite a bit as this battle heated up between Fitzgerald and Torres here. I think that at the end of the day, we'll have to ask Fitzgerald, but you know, he might have just taken a little bit too long to get around Kennedy there with that great battle between the two that we got to see. Really tight racing. He was laying the bumper to him, it looked like at times, but that nose looks like it's all good. He's just a second back. He's actually brought it under a second, but he's going to run out of time here as they're heading onto the straight here on through Blanchimont. They will only require a mistake. The only thing that could happen is a mistake by RJT Torres there into the chicane, and he's driven a perfect race so far today. Torres navigates through the chicane for the final time, and he's going to win the first race of the season. He's going to blink his headlights and snake his car Congratulations to him on the win. Fitzgerald comes P2. P3 is Brian Kennedy, who ran really strong in the second position for most of the race and had a great battle with Fitzgerald. As Lanik has actually got caught up with Bielik there. He had some late mistake there, but holds off Bielik. Bielik's going to come through in 5th. Hare is just going to come to the finish line. Is he out of fuel or something? I mean, I thought this was a fixed race, so unless he's blown his engine or something. So he lets Joseph here get by in 6th. And he is stopped on the track. Wow. So we'll go through, once everybody crosses the finish line here, we'll go through the final positions here. We've got Kim just coming around still. Gonna be probably our final car. We might have Stokes out here still. Nope, Stokes finished. All right. So, looks like we've got Rafael Torres in the first position, Dave Fitzgerald in P2, Brian Kennedy in P3, Peter Lanik in P4, Yakov Bielik in P5, Brian Hare in P6, Joseph Getrides in P7, Colin Kordenek in P8, Stephen Tenney in P9, Tim Bradford in P10, Robert Benson in P11, John Wood in P12, Scott Kim gonna come across that finish line in P13, and Robert Stokes in P14, and our last place car dropped out of the race at some point. Looks like he's about 3 laps down, so on the 9th or 10th lap, Stephen Flanagan. So looks like Kim's just gonna call it a day. No repairs required for this in these iRacing cars, as opposed to their real cars. Yeah, I'm assuring you that they would never do that in their real cars, the BMW Car Club here. So we'll be right back, and we'll get on to our podium interviews. All right, we're about to get Brian Kennedy. I got you in the booth up here. How's it going, man? Congratulations on P3.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. This is my best finish with such a strong field. So.
Yeah, you. I mean, you started second. You took the lead right at the beginning. Then got RJT got around you. That's what I was calling him in the broadcast anyway. Rafael got around you, and then you had a great battle with Dave there. So tell us about that.
Yeah, no, definitely hats off to Dave. I mean, he was racing real clean, obviously right on my bumper the whole time, and it was a lot of fun. And unfortunately, I ran out of fuel. I had to back off, so I kind of made an easy pass for him there, but and hoping to benefit from his draft. But I mean, he was fast. I might have been holding him up anyway. So.
Yeah, he looked like he was putting a little bit of bumper to you, but was there any 0x or any contact there, or was it all like pretty clean?
No, not. There was one time on turn 1 where I saw him get real close, but no, perfectly clean, no contact at all. So very good. That was awesome, Dave.
Well, congratulations. So yeah, tell me about the fuel situation though, because I did see somebody else did run out of fuel. I thought I saw
Peter Lanik in the chat after the game said he ran out and had to, he was doing the same thing, coasting on lap of the final lap.
You guys are running fixed setup though, right? So Was there just
I
a
think
miscalculation
some of
on
us,
that, or?
maybe some of us are a little more tail happy on the turn exits and wasting fuel there. I mean, probably I'm not as efficient. Raphael said he had quite a bit left, so I think he's just the more efficient driver.
Well, he is the pro, right? So,
yep.
Very good. Well, congratulations on P3. That's going to be, for the championship here. We've got on to Zandvoort next week. Any thoughts about Zandvoort?
I've never raced there. I actually don't own the track yet, so it should be fun.
Well, get practicing, or buy that on iRacing. They'll appreciate it, and get practicing. So thanks, man, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Yep. Looks like we've got Raphael, our Victor, already in the booth here. We were going to pull you in last. That's kind of how we do it here, Raphael. But since you're in here, we'll let you talk. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah, tell us about it. So, very beginning, Brian got around you into turn 1, and you did get around him on that first lap. But tell us about your race.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I never practiced launch in the car, off of a standstill. So he got a better launch. I tried to defend the inside, but I did give him some, racing room because he earned it. He launched the car pretty good off the line. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it was like, you know what? I'm just going to hold back, don't make any mistakes, and see what happens. So eventually end up, recovering the position back. But at the end, what a surprise. What a surprise with the low fuel.
Yeah, so you, at least Brian was saying that you had plenty of fuel left, or maybe you didn't?
No, actually I didn't. Crew chief kept telling me we're going to have to refuel. So I started, coasting before going to the brakes, just fuel saving mode, complete fuel saving, managing the gap behind me, managing the tires, making sure that, I scrub speed with tires, not with brakes, and coasting as much as I could. So crew chief started giving me good news. It went from like, we have to stop and get 6 liters to we got to stop and get 4 liters. So I kept doing that. I let P2 and P3 fight each other. And I kept managing the gap, but I crossed the finish line with 1 liter of fuel, like barely enough to cross.
Well, yeah, that's good because you have a lot of, hilly, some elevation changes here at Spa. So you don't want to get, into a straightaway that has you're out of fuel on a straightaway that is going uphill. You wouldn't want that. So, congratulations on the victory, man. Good one. On to Zandvoort next week. Any thoughts about that?
Can't wait for it, man. It's one of those tracks that it requires a lot of technique and doing the right thing at the right time. And I mean, I don't love that track. I'm sorry. Like I love the Nordschleife or Spa, but it's one of my favorites.
Okay, yeah, I actually don't know it all that well, so I'll have to do some studying on my own here. I know Spa very well, but everybody knows it because it's on the Formula One calendar, I think. But Zandvoort would have been on this year, but wasn't because of the crisis that we're going through. So congratulations on the victory, man, and we'll see you next week at Zandvoort.
Thank you, Matt. See you next time.
Yep. Hey, Dave, congratulations. We got you up in the booth here. Congratulations on P2.
Thank you. I appreciate the support there. I didn't realize I would be able to get P2. Brian Kennedy was keeping me back, and then Peter behind me was sneaking up every once in a while, showing his nose, and had a couple of good runs down this back after a Rouge, I think, that back straight there.
Yeah, Camel Straight would be the straight.
Camel Straight, yeah. I probably was a little cheeky at some point. I moved over once to stop him from slipping on the inside, but he backed off a little bit. I think there was a fueling issue with some of the guys. I was oblivious.
So maybe because you drove around and Brian's slipstream the whole race, really, you didn't have as much fuel issues. Could that be what the situation was, maybe?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think I got probably a good 25 miles to the gallon.
Very good. Yeah, that really could be what it was. I mean, if everybody else seemed to have fueling issues, but you were right on Brian's bumper like the entire race. And was there any contact between you guys? Or I asked him, he didn't think there was any, but any thought on your end?
No, I didn't see any, and I was really trying to, stay away from him. I did not want to ruin his race, but I believe there was so many times we were so close, within 0.2 and 0.1 seconds around a lot of the track. So it's pretty amazing that we didn't come into contact, which is good, as I guess it bodes well for the both of us.
Yeah. Well, you guys put on a great race. And do you think if you had gotten around Brian any earlier, you'd have been able to catch up to Rafael there?
I think I may have had a chance, because around lap 11, the tires really started getting a little squirrely. And then I was noticing I was pushing a lot more and having to slow for coming in, apexing corners. But I think maybe, I don't want to say he held me up, but there was a few times where I should have gotten by him, but he just had good racecraft and I couldn't get by him, which is part of racing as well.
Yeah, of course it is. So, really, you guys put on a great show for us today, so I'm really happy about that, and I think you guys will enjoy it, when you go back and watch it. So any thoughts on Zandvoort next week?
Yeah, we were just talking about that in the green room, and it's been a long time since I've been on that track, but I do recall enjoying it. So I'm going to have to get a few laps in next week. I'm trying to practice for the Petite Le Mans on Saturday, so that's my focus right now once I'm done here.
Yeah, what are you going to be driving there? The BMW as well, or
Yeah, we've got the M8. There's a couple of friends of mine.
Very cool. I did Road America last season one time, and that was actually my first endurance race. It was a 6 hour, so I was 3 hours in the car, and the other guy was 3 hours in the car.
Oh, wow.
Very cool experience. I mostly drive open wheel cars, so it was my first endurance experience. But yeah, good luck at that race, and we'll see you here next week. Anybody you want to thank out there, or final?
Well, yeah, Scott for organizing this, and then you for putting this all so out there, so we can relive our glory after we're done here. But I'm just happy that this league's taking off, and hopefully we can attract a few more people. A nice 2022 driver grid would be real nice to see.
And hey, I've got let's say I thought I might. So I've got I had a good race here on the. I have your car going around the track right now, so like on the slow-mo, and there was some good battling there between you and Brian. So you can't see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I saved the replay because I want to take a look at some of the really close calls there.
Yep. All right. Well, congratulations on P2, and we will see you next week at Zandvoort, and good luck at Road Atlanta this weekend.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Talk to you next week.
Take care. All right, well, that will take us out here. We had Rafael Torres, the leader here. We'll be back here next week, next Thursday, for Zandvoort, a track that honestly, I don't know as well, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of my own studying. It sounds like some of the drivers here also going to be doing their own studying as well, but Rafael sounded like he had it pretty well covered, so we'll see if everybody can spend that time and try to make it a little bit more difficult on Rafael here. So with that said, we'll be back here next week, and I hope you guys enjoyed this race. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell, and we'll catch you next week.